This presentation includes forward-looking statements as determined by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. All statements, other than statements of historical facts, included in this presentation that address activities, events, or developments that the company believes or anticipates will or may occur in the future are forward-looking statements. Such forward-looking statements involve known and unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors which may cause the actual results, performance, or achievements of the company to be materially different from any future results, performance, or achievements expressed or implied by such forward-looking statements. Such factors include general economic and business conditions, the ability to acquire and develop specific projects, the ability to fund operations, healthcare service demands, changes in healthcare practices, government regulation, and other factors over which the company has little or no control. The company does not intend and is not obligated to update publicly any forward-looking statements. The contents of this presentation should be considered in conjunction with the warnings and cautionary statements contained in the company's recent filings with the SEC.
Next slide. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Bill Donovan, CEO. Welcome to our Q1 2017 conference call. With me today, Mr. John Bergeron, CFO, and Dr. Matt DeGaetano, our Senior VP, Sales and Marketing. Before we get into the Q1 financial numbers, I would like to discuss several issues affecting healthcare in general and spine injury solutions in particular. Number one, reimbursement is down for all doctors due to the ACA and now Trump Care. Number two, hospitals have increased competition from physician-owned ambulatory surgery centers. Number three, most total joints and spine surgery cases now are being done in ambulatory surgery centers. Number four, telemedicine is growing rapidly and was just approved by the Texas legislature this past week. And finally, today we're going to spend extra time talking about the development of the affiliated doctor networks. Because of the things I highlighted above, we feel there's a good opportunity to increase the affiliate doctor network. But let me add, we have no interest in adding an affiliate as a quota filler. Once we start a relationship, we have to be confident it will be long-lasting. So while we do have a number of potential affiliate candidates in our database, our selection process requires much more than desire. The venue and case demand also has to work. I asked Dr. Matt to be on the call today because he's invited me to present SPIN's affiliate program on his online webinar dated Bulletproof Your PI Case for chiros and pain doctors on 5/23/17, hosted by Dr. Matt through Personal Injury Institute. Matt will also be on this webinar as a presenter. Along with me on the May 23rd webinar will be the keynote speaker at the Atlanta seminar a few months back, the nationally recognized Colossus speaker, Jim Mathis, a former top executive of both Allstate and State Farm. Jim has expressed interest in helping Quad Video in development and spine injury with development. At the time of our last conference call several weeks ago, I mentioned about opening a new affiliate center in Lubbock, Texas, at the request of one of the large law firms. The local Lubbock newspaper picked up the announcement, which has helped us to identify referral sources in the Lubbock area. We'll show a copy of the Lubbock newspaper article later in the conference call. One last point before we get into the slides. The development of a standardized and scalable affiliate program for expansion will require time and is not going to happen overnight. We've developed standardized documentation tools to assist in this development. As you know, Spine Injury is a company that helps doctors with turnkey solutions, and these are the doctors who treat automobile and work-related accidents. We fund procedures, and by facilitating early treatment through our affiliated doctors, we believe that health conditions can be prevented from escalating and injured victims can be quickly placed on the road to recovery. Through our affiliate system, we facilitate the doctors to provide reasonable, necessary, and appropriate treatment to these patients. We assist the centers to provide this treatment and pay the doctors for the fee for the medical procedures they perform. Next slide. Since inception, we have funded over 8,500 procedures. We have paid out over $8 million in financing for some $45 million in case procedures. And we have collected over $16 million in cash with an additional $6 million prepaid waiting for settlement. This creates a rate of return approximately 150%, calculating in the projected $3 million or what comes in of the remaining $6 million. Our hope and desire is to try to add 10 to 12 new affiliates over the next 12 to 18 months because of the changes that we're seeing happening in healthcare. We're getting more calls from doctors that we have never had before. So there is a change in the playing field for all of us doctors in practice. Next slide. I'm going to have John go over the financial snapshot and the numbers, and then I'll come back, both myself and Dr. Matt, after John gets through the numbers.
Thank you, Dr. Donovan. Basically, there was not much change in the first quarter. It was a slow quarter. We had some activity. If you look at the shareholder equity, we're still at $2.7 million. We have $1.7 million at current assets and $1.6 million in current liabilities. We still have $725,000 to draw on the line should we need it. I won't read the rest of it to you. Next screen, please. You'll see that in the first quarter we had a net revenue of $501,000 with a loss of $49,389,000. Should be noted that of the $49,389,000, we had a little over $47,000 in non-cash expenditures. So it's not as bad as it seems. You'll also notice that we had a drop in the revenue from Q1 17 from 16. The reason for that is basically the loss of the San Antonio affiliate. You'll notice also, though, that the gross margin was a little bit better in 17 and 16, and that's due mainly to a little bit higher collection percentage than we'd had in 2016. Next slide, please. Basically, we had $4.2 or $4.3 million in total assets. There's not that much change from the year in 2016, but I will show you that if you look at the notes payable, we paid off $50,000 in the note payable due to an investor that was at a 10% rate. We also, there's been a question last time about the accounts receivable reserve, and I wanted to kind of bring that to your attention. At the end of the year, we had a reserve of $958,000. At the end of the first quarter, we had a reserve of $907,000. What this basically means is a reserve is what we believe may be possibly written off. In Florida, we've had a lot of problems, so that's why you see such a large increase. When we write off the Florida receivables, that's we think they're no longer going to be collected, it does not go against the financials. It goes against the reserve. So there's no P&L effect. The only P&L effect was with the reserve concerns the bad debt expense. In the first quarter, we took a $40,000 bad debt reserve. So just if there's any questions, please give me a call, and I'll be happy to help you with it. Really didn't have any inventory buildup for the quad video halos. We maintained the line of credit. We didn't pay down or didn't borrow any additional money from Wells Fargo. Our total stockholders' equity went from 2.7 to 2.665, and that's about it. Like I say, it's a very slow quarter. And with that, I'll hand it back to Dr. Donovan.
Next slide. I want to show the historical growth with cases and collections. And what has really worked out very well is that the collections and the management of the cases has really worked very well. We live on the collections, and we have to remember we did all the development research with the QVH plus the overhead, and most of that was paid with collections. And remember, we started this company back in 2011 with essentially no money. We had a couple small raises. We've paid that all back. But the affiliate network does work. But here we can see what they've collected, over $16 million, and there's still additional cases to settle. We've had 4.3% of the cases not collected anything. So we feel that this is a viable model, and this is why we want to pursue and really push the affiliate doctor network. Next slide. When we talk about cases and procedures, what we're seeing is the doctors are referring us bigger type cases, which means the patients are having more than one injection. And it's because of the complexity and the type of cases. We prefer to deal with the larger cases. But as you see, we have continued to grow both in cases and procedures. Next slide. This cumulative cases and procedures tells you that we're on the right route. Now, here's just a couple of notes on the QVH. This is what separates us from our competition. We have a good patent. We have a good CE mark. It's been all approved, and people are gravitating now to video documentation. Can we show the video at the bottom? Can we start that up? We showed part of this the last time, but we're in the middle of the procedure here. And to be able, what I have found with the video, what it does, it's safer for the patient on risk management for the doctors providing it. So there's a lot of reason why we want to be able to document what was done, how it was done, in more than one view. The doctor here is performing a transforaminal nerve block, and the needle that's being inserted, it comes in at about a 45-degree angle from the side. On the bottom right view, you can see the needle there, and this is coming down to the nerve root. So the doctor talks to the patient that he's getting close, and many times it will cause pain, which is captured on the audio part. So the audio-visual documentation is important. And when patients have pain on this type of procedure, it's because that is the nerve that's pinched. And when you get down in the vicinity of that nerve, it can reproduce the pain, which is what we want to do, so we can say, this is the nerve that's pinched. And the documentation is really good. And as the procedure is being done, it's being uploaded into box.com, your HIPAA compliant cloud, and it remains there forever. Now we can compress it and bring it down, and you can see this was the right L5 nerve block. And the patient's having pain because that's the nerve that's pinched.
All right? All right? Okay.
Many times the patients will have pain, but we block the nerve. We freeze the nerve like with a local anesthetic, like what a dentist does. Putting the nerve asleep, we then say to the patient, has the pain in your hip and leg gone away? And usually they'll say yes. So we know we're at the right level. If the patient says no, well, I'm still having that pain down the leg and hip, it's very easy to do another injection of nerve block at the level above or below. This is why you want the patient awake. You don't want the patient asleep, because the patient is working with you to help us provide the correct diagnosis. Next slide. We want to spend some time now on the affiliate program. And it's obviously dealing with doctors. You can even deal with physical therapists depending on the state. We only want to deal with doctors who are very good, have a clean record, and doctors who understand they should be able to generate a new revenue center with increased cash per month. If there is not an MD or a DO, we can help partner up with the doctor through a different method. And this will vary from state to state. One of the things, next slide, one of the things that I've been working with Dr. Matt is there's a lot of doctors out there that have a large number of patients. And they can be chiropractors, they can be pain doctors, they can be orthopedic surgeons. And what we're seeing, we're getting calls now. And Matt, I'm wondering if you can say some words about your webinar, what differences have you noticed in the last 6 months in dealing with doctors on the other end? And this could be doctors in West Texas, they could be in Tennessee, they could be, but what are you feeling and finding with your webinars and the response?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to explain a few things today. To answer your question, Bill, one of the things that I'm seeing is that there are a lot of networking developments that are going on. So there's groups of multiple practices that are kind of collaborating, and obviously the Quad Video Halo offers a very unique tool for these providers to establish, some traction, but as well as accurate case settlements. And so we're seeing a lot. So pertaining to the webinars, we're seeing more and more doctors looking for education, but as well as strategic relationships in various markets from California to Tennessee to New York and all the way down through Florida. And we have multiple large group practices that are now, we're in dialogue with them as we speak, because they're looking for these tools. And so they're looking for a unique relationship with Quad Video Halo and Spin as they would, embark as a deeper approach. But we're also speaking with some of the local colleges for chiropractic, as well as other groups that have large hospital networks. And so it's kind of a mixed opportunity. But for the webinar, we have over 200 practices that have registered over the last few webinars, and they're now engaging with deeper conversation about how to strengthen their position in personal injury. So to answer your question, yes, so we're seeing a lot of networking that's going on, and a lot of relationship building that can help large operations with management of large patient base. So,
Matt, have you seen a change over the last 6 to 12 months about the groups looking for new revenue centers?
Yes, I have, and I've seen also a need for practices in various markets as well. So yes, groups are medical. A lot of large medical groups are moving more and more in this direction. I was contacted by 2 surgeons over the past couple of weeks, and then I have some large interventional pain management groups that are, large groups meaning that they have 10 interventional pain management locations that are now moving into personal injury from, management of Medicare and Obamacare, as you mentioned. They're looking to have more balance in their practice, and they're looking to step into personal injury, but not having much awareness of what it would mean. That's where we come in as a team to help them navigate it successfully, as well as document it accurately, and then of course the video gives them a lot of power in this industry.
Which brings us to, we've made some changes to the affiliate program because we're seeing more interest. And Matt and I talk almost every other day. And he's telling me what he's seeing from his side and what we're signing. So we've modified and made some changes. And we want to work with the local docs and make it very simple. And the affiliate will work with us about the funding. And if they do work with us on the funding cases, we can get a QBH there at a minimum cost, transportation, and then the storage cost of $450 a month, which provides maintenance and 24-hour monitoring. Next slide. Obviously, the affiliate will pay for the rest of the stuff. Next slide, the other way. So essentially, little to nothing is paid to spin. But our goal is, with the new changes, we're willing to put in an expensive piece of equipment at no cost. And what we're asking is that we get the opportunity to fund this procedure. Now, we're also saying to the doctors, we will put on seminars and webinars. And this is just like the webinar that Matt and Jim Mathis and myself are doing on May 23rd. So there's a way that we can help the doctors to get additional cases, which most funding companies only come in and buy procedures. Well, we're coming in with something more. It's a better program. It's good for the doctors, and it's really good for the patients. Next slide. I mentioned that I had a call from some people, and they said, you know, we would really like you to have the QVH in Lubbock. Well, I'd never been to Lubbock. It's a wonderful city. So we went up and we found significant interest. And lo and behold, next slide, the Lubbock Chronicle had an article about it. And this obviously attracted interest by doctors and obviously some local attorneys. But they're really terrific cases, big cases. And they're sort of in limbo trying to get the appropriate, necessary, reasonable type treatments for their case. Next slide. With the affiliates, essentially, patients come in, they have complaints, they have clinical findings, be it low back pain, hip and leg, neck pain into the shoulder and arm. And what the affiliate doctor is doing, he's going through a process called differential diagnosis. How can he take the symptoms, his clinical findings, and do some type of injection to help him make the diagnosis for this reason and not that reason? The typical example, someone's in an accident, they have severe pain in the shoulder. Everybody focuses on the shoulder, except most pain in the shoulder comes from the neck. So we would do epidural steroid injection or maybe a nerve block. This now will help us in the differential diagnosis. We also have the ability to do additional type treatments. It could be a facet block, it could be a radiofrequency ablation, both in the spine and in some joints. We have had some patients with knee pain, severe knee pain, that we could not control with anti-inflammatory medication. Patient didn't want to be on narcotics. We have done RFA ablations to the knee, and the results are really, really good. It's incredible. So it's been very helpful. What we have found is that we're seeing bigger cases. They're higher level cases, and we help in the process of this differential diagnosis. And combining all the changes out of Washington, we're seeing a lot more interest in what we're doing. Next slide. Remember, back up one. What we do is we try to identify the pain generator site, which we've talked about. Now, there's a lot of competitors out there. Next slide. There's a lot of funding companies out there. They even pay higher percentages for the case procedures. These funding companies aren't helping you, the doctors, attract new patients. None of these competitors have the QVH. So we feel that we have an important key to help the doctors with the QVH video, and we feel that this can help attract doctors more patients. And I think it was the last conference call we had Larry Tilka, who's on our advisory board. He has said, you know, he's a big proponent of QVH. He doesn't understand why, if attorneys know about it, they don't use it or having their doctors use it. We're getting calls from doctors and attorneys in other cities. How soon can you get QVH in place? Next slide. You probably wonder, why would we provide a QVH at essentially at no cost? Well, I truly believe that's our spin advantage. We have, once the QVH is set up, it's monitored 24/7, and we know when it's turned on. We know that if we have all the appropriate paperwork, and we know if the affiliate is working within our guidelines. If an affiliate tries to circumvent the system, we can shut the QVH off and remove it. And we've done this before in a city in Texas. We just removed it. The doctors were not reasonable. And we just moved it. Next slide. As we've mentioned before, there's a lot of procedures that we can fund. And we funded over 8,500 procedures. It's generated $22 million in net revenues and over $45 million in gross revenues. This is all in the SEC filings. To date, over $16.5 million has been collected, with some $7 million in gross billings waiting to be collected. It is clear the business model does work. And if we look back over the last couple years, the affiliates have developed the money to develop the QVH and cover the SG&A of the public company. We don't have to spend a lot of money at QVH now. So we feel that by adding new affiliates, we can net per share additional revenues. So we feel that we're hoping to be able to, through the affiliate program, increase net revenues and so forth. In addition, we obviously have third-party sales, and there's people that are interested in the third-party sales, and we're getting calls on that. So with this review of what we're doing, let's open it up to questions.
Okay, we have several already in. I didn't mention up front, but if you're new on the call, remember you have that little box on the right-hand side that says questions. Just type your question in. We will answer them in the order as they're received. And our first question is from Steve Miller. Let's start at the bottom. We have several questions here. Actually, it's from Lee Gow. Lubbock affiliate started procedures in April. It's been 1.5 months. About how much revenue will this contribute to Q2 numbers from Lee Gow?
Hold on just a second. They're asking a question about Q2 with procedures.
It may be a little premature to answer that. I have not seen the May numbers yet, so it would be just a speculative guess, and I usually find those end up biting you when you make a guess and you're not sure of yourself.
Can you maybe give them about how many procedures in the short period of time have already been scheduled now that will probably take place this quarter?
I don't know. We would have to pull those numbers up. We don't have them right here now.
Okay. Next question from Lee Gow. QVH centers in El Paso and Dallas. How did they work? Did they also contribute revenues to SPIN? Now, these are QVH centers, not affiliate.
The QVH center in Dallas was a pure sale. And they don't do the 450. No, it's just a pure sale. And they got a year free on the $450 a month. So at the end of the year, we'll get some. We'll be able to generate some revenue. In El Paso, it's gone from a click-per-click basis to a sale, and I believe all the paperwork's been signed. So that'll be a sale.
Okay, Steve Miller says he's got 6 questions. Since the last earnings call, there were no press releases from the company. No other updated information regarding the company that I'm aware of has appeared elsewhere, either on the company's website or otherwise. Got to say, shareholder that concerns me. Well, that's, I guess, a question. It's more like an observation. Do you want to address that, or should I just go on to his next question?
No, I think, it's a fair question. And we have to be able to have better communications with our shareholders of interest. Part of the absence of a lot of information in Texas, the legislature's in session every 2 years, and they had some really nasty bad bills up there, but they've all been defeated. So I think we can really expand in Texas and elsewhere. So we try not to send out information unless it's relevant. And I'm hoping that we're going to have more relevant information Q2, 3, and 4 this year.
Okay, second question. Focus on using the Halo in connection with affiliates and not making a significant effort to sell it tells me quite simply there's not really a third-party demand for it, which in turn tells me the technology is not all that special, except that it may be helpful in connection with affiliates. Again, Steve Miller.
I disagree with you 100%. Interesting. There's financing companies out in the marketplace that wants the QVH, big time. We're interested in QVH with affiliate doctors. There's a lot of interest in documentation with video. And I think you're going to be seeing some changes.
Okay, next question. When would you expect the next affiliate to be announced? March PR, you said 6 to 8 in the next 12 to 18 months, which I think was updated today, as that, but the real target being 10 to 12. And I think that was in the press release.
Yeah.
It says we should, I'm sorry, I have this very tiny writing that comes through in this little window over here when I have to read these questions. We should now have at least 1 to 2 more, in the mill, I guess.
There's, as Matt said, and myself, there's quite a bit of activity going on, and we need to have the right affiliates. And I said earlier, we have no interest in that affiliate as a quota filler. Steve, there's a lot more activity and interest now than a year ago, than 6 months ago. And I think what's happening, these large groups, like what Matt was talking about, people are afraid of Obamacare. They're petrified of Trump care. And everybody's looking for new revenue centers. I think that's going to be helpful to us.
Okay, company expressed a lot of optimism in last earnings call. Stock is cheap, it's been trading in the 20-cent range, but no insiders have buying since that call. No one on the board of directors or otherwise. Yes, I know some of the insiders and board members hold large positions, but biz prospects are so great, hard to understand why. I might just make a comment over here that you've been in a dark period nonstop since December 15th anyway, but say whatever you want to add to that.
Well, as everyone knows, I've bought stock, and I can only speak for myself. And if we produce, we'll have people buying stock, and we have to produce. So I can only speak for myself, and I bought on the exchange, not only for debt that was owed me, but I bought quite a bit of shares. I believe in this. I believe in this company and this product.
Okay. After having another question from Steve, after having borne and reported the large expense of developing QVH and dealing with associated patent expenses in the past, I find it somewhat discouraging that this quarter you nonetheless reported a small loss versus a small gain for the same quarter last year. Lots of optimism, talked like on every call, but when exactly we're going to really see an impact of our earnings? 2018, 19, 2025?
Well, let's talk about Q1 17 versus 16. That was the last 16 when we had San Antonio, and we lost that for certain reasons. That's what affected the revenue, and that's why we have to replace that. We lost one of those expired, the situation there, and that's what hurt us. And we just have to get going. And I'm hoping 17 is better than 16, 18 better than 17.
In the last conference call, when asked about Halo valuation, Dr. D mentioned that at that point Spencer was contacting a tech company about Halo's valuation. Any more update on that from Lee Gao?
No, we're talking with various people about the valuations for QVH, but at this point we really can't say anything more than that.
In today's PR, it talks about searching for a COO. What is the progress on that?
We have some ideas. We've talked to some people, and we're talking with people. We need someone who understands what we do, and most importantly, be organized and to be able to achieve certain goals. And when we find that right person, it may be from within or it could be outside. We'll fill that slot.
Okay, you mentioned a knee case a few moments ago. Was that part of a PI case? Is this a new area that we may be entering in addition to spine?
Well, that's a great question. We see a lot of knee cases, by the way. And what they are, they're dashboard injuries. You're in the front seat. There's an accident. Your seatbelt, you're in a seatbelt. You'll have extension flexion, that's twisting of the neck. You can twist the lower back in a seatbelt, and many times the knee will hit the dashboard. It's called a dashboard injury. And boy, they're tough to treat. And it causes knee pain. And depending, if the patient's in the front seat, will get the dashboard injuries. Back seat, they'll hit in between the seats. You get a rotation injury, and you can tear a meniscus. So we do see quite a few knee injuries with accidents. The other thing we see, in fact, I have one today. The patient's main complaint was pain in the back of the knee, the back side. Well, I examined the patient, been treated elsewhere. They've been focusing on the knee, except the patient's problem is coming out of the back. So we'll do a nerve block the nerve in the back, and the pain in the knee will go away. So we do see some de novo or by itself knee injuries, especially dashboard injuries. And we have a lot of people come in with knee pain where it's actually referred pain from the low back into the knee.
So we are actually financing that paper as well now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Involved with the PI.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
This is new news even to me. Okay. Dr. Ryan, Bill Ryan, in reference to the Halo, just a minute, another question, just bump that one. In reference to the Halo RX being developed as a concept of the integrated operating room continues to evolve and progress here in the United States, how do you see Halo RX and spin relating to this development? Does the Halo RX in particular coexist with the interactive operating room?
Oh, yeah, there's no question. In fact, we'll have something here very soon to talk about, but the RX works very well, and all we're looking for are inputs from a microscope, from a spinal cord monitoring, external video cameras. We've been working with a 360-degree camera. The RX absolutely will work with integrated. And for Dr. Ryan, what's interesting on the integrated ORs, all the different machines don't talk to each other. And we were up in Michigan. Remember, a year ago, we did some work with a big teaching hospital, and we were having inputs from the high-tech instruments that they were using, and the video was beautiful. In fact, while they were doing that procedure with the robotic surgery, it was being watched in, I believe, Europe. So, and that was RX. And we've made some changes to RX. There will be a place in certain integrated rooms. Now, the other thing to Dr. Ryan, one of our biggest problems have been hospitals giving us approval to videotape. No question. Hospitals don't like it. However, ambulatory surgery clinics, total different environment. They're usually doctor-owned, and the ASCs are much easier to deal with when we're talking about video recordings with the RX. And I think you will see some things come out fairly soon about the RX in ambulatory surgery. And it's just amazing how much spine surgery, total joint surgery has now gone to ASCs. And the reason they can do it, they have better methods of pain management being done as an outpatient. So that the pain management post-op is what has been, and obviously instrumentation. That's what has allowed more cases to go ASCs, which is perfect because it's so much easier for us to get into an ambulatory surgery center than a hospital. Although we do have some hospitals that are very interested in us because they're interested in risk analysis just like we are and marketing just like we are.
Okay. In a previous slide, it said something about possible of adding 2 cents a share in earnings for a year on a affiliate that's consistently doing 25 cases per month. How realistic is these 25 cases per month? And for example, can you give where would you expect Lubbock, how soon before they could be doing 25 cases per month?
I think Lubbock's going to be very busy. I think a good center can do 25 cases a month. Odessa does that very easily. But I think, and when we're talking about like what Dr. Matt was talking about with some of these big groups with a lot of centers, I think what I was trying to get across, most of the money that we've been collecting has been spent in the company with QVH and SG&A. We need to increase revenues. We need to increase collections. And we feel that we can increase the earnings per share because we've spent a lot of money on QVH and RX. But there's no need to spend a lot of more money on that.
Another question from Bill Ryan. In the future, Dr. Donovan, do you see PRP prolotherapy utilizing Halo technology? Here's one for the docs.
Okay. That's the tip of the iceberg, Bill. PRP, for sure. Stem cells, absolutely. Cord blood, the source of the stem cells. And the reason is for documentation in the technique and was it done correctly to a particular location. So it's just not PRP. It can be PRP, it can be cord blood, it can be A2M, which is a type of stem cell, which probably works the best for degenerative arthritis and so forth. So, yes. And we went to Boston BioLife, which is the big stem cell education thing. What they were interested in was QVH for monitoring. And that issue is still right out there. So do I think there will be? Absolutely, but much more than just PRP.
Okay, do we have any more questions? You've got about 1 minute to add them to it. And actually, we have a couple of questions that Bill said that were sent to you by email here. Let's try to cover those real quick here. Let's see. Has the company had any departures in key personnel over the past 90 days?
No.
Hello?
No, the answer was no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Hard time with this phone here. Where, if at all, do you anticipate the need for hiring, additional hiring to manage the company or support of its business objection? Well, You've got to see it.
Well, we
COO, anything else?
Yeah, we already talked about that. Yeah, we're absolutely looking, and we know there's a need in certain areas. And when we find the right people, we'll do it.
Has any question been raised to the validity of any of the patents or any basis whatsoever by third party?
No, nope, not at all.
Okay. Is Dr. DiGaetano involved in sales and marketing of the legacy locations, or is also involved in sales and marketing of the QVH?
That's a great question. We were invited to talk in Atlanta because of Dr. Matt. I'm on this webinar because Dr. Matt. And I think we'll see things come out of all these things, both sales and legacy. And as I'm talking to Matt, I think there's a lot of opportunities with legacy, and in certain situations they may be sales or stay legacy. So we're talking about a lot of things, but he's on both sides of the fence.
And by the way, he is still on the call here, so he may want to pipe in over here as well.
Well, I wasn't directed any specific questions, but to a couple of points that I think we can add here. There is a lot of vertical opportunities in the work that Halo is doing, and a lot of it is exploration at the same time as new discovery of new opportunities. But the webinar that we're going to be holding, we have one of the top experts from the insurance industry who has been discussing video technology for a long time. He has been recommending this to thousands of doctors across the United States for many years. But to incorporate that process, very few have known how to and what that looks like, and so that's why we have engaged with him. He's now obviously going to be an integral part of our education process, but as well as letting other providers know about this unique service. So there are going to be other affiliates that will open up different opportunities, and so I think that's what we're exploring. There are a lot of conversations that Bill and I have of opportunities that are developing almost on a daily basis. So it's not just working in one channel. We're working on multiple channels at the same time, and it's a time-based situation where it does take time to develop these things, as Bill had mentioned earlier. So those are my points.
Let me add one thing to what Matt just said. All of us as investors, we've heard about urgent care centers and freestanding emergency rooms. Well, urgent care centers, which is a lower level of service than obviously a freestanding emergency room, there's thousands of them in the United States. And Matt has been working with some large groups. We feel there can be some opportunities with urgent care networks.
Yeah, to add to that, we've been in some discussions for a lengthy time period, and Quad Video Halo has been part of those discussions with very large groups.
Okay, another question in here from Lee. Let's do this other one first. Take a few minutes to talk about the advisory board. Are they just there to support marketing and sales effort? Will they be involved both legacy side of the business as well as QVH? Will they have any role in assisting Spin's business offerings, legacy or QVH, or new product development? And do you have anybody else that may soon be joining?
I think the advisory board has an important function. It's to advise us in their areas of expertise. Now, Larry Tilka is the head of the advisory board, first member, and he understands the value, and we're going to be getting him onto the website to tell it from his perspective. That is the transparency. to resolve issues of doubt, about, geez, this patient really hurts, so on and so forth. So it really transcends legacy and sales. And we have other people we're targeting. They may come on as a consultant. They may come on an advisory board. But we have some unique people who believe in Halo, and they feel that there's a need and a place for it in the right situation. So we're not going to rush in and add a bunch of people that cannot really provide us with the right advice and perspective.
And here's the last question from Lee Gao. Marketing Google search is truly a remarkable tool. When folks like a product or services, they talk about it. Why is it when I do a Google search, I come up empty? Is it because it has not attracted any attention yet, interest, or is it because the company has not marketed or publicized it in that environment?
That's a great question. We have not marketed to investors. We've been focusing on doctors that we're hoping to bring in as affiliates. We obviously, when we provide treatment in the videos, it's being marketed indirectly to attorneys. We have gone to some seminars and meetings in the past, and we were going there with the original proposal. We've changed a lot of the finances and so on and so forth. So we're not out selling the product where you would probably find it on Google, but maybe we should make some changes, and whatever is going to help my investors, we'll do. So, Lee, I appreciate that question.
And here's a follow-up in that area. Has the company considered perhaps hiring a tech writer or get someone to write a journal article, both medical and legal?
That's a great question. We have started a campaign that's been going on for 2 or 3 months. And we have a good writer, and we're very specific targeting an audience. And we're capturing, I'm told, a good response to this, and it's followed up with additional emails. Should we have a white paper? Well, we have the person that can do it. And she's working with us. She's from Dallas. And she's working on this other campaign. I think we're getting very close to maybe we should do that. And then we can then market it to the large healthcare companies that do a lot of this. Becker's is one an example. And I think we're getting very close to a time that we can start doing that.
I think that about does it. Unless I see no more questions, and if you want to make a final comment or two here, Dr. Donovan, we can terminate the call.
John, Dr. Matt, myself, we appreciate you taking time and listening to what's going on. We have a very unique product in the QVH. We're dealing with doctors who are looking for new, good products to use with their patients. We're trying to resolve these issues for doctors, patients, and so forth. And we have to continue on this path to do a better job. And I think the tide is changing. Thank God for Obamacare. Thank God for Trump care. It's scaring doctors like crazy. And we're getting calls now from people who would never have called us a year ago. So stay tuned, stay with us, and we're working diligently because I want to prove that this halo is the right product at the right time to help our patients. And because I know it works. There's no question it works. But thank you very much for being on the call. And please send me emails and stuff anytime you have any questions. Thank you very much.
And goodbye.